Hey everyone, welcome to another Makrofotography video. Today I'm out here in this open heathland sort of habitat to try and do a bit of natural light macrophotography, something I haven't really done much of before. And to do this I have with me the Sony A7 Mark V and their 100mm f2.8 G Master macro lens. So thank you very much to Sony for sending me over this equipment and for sponsoring this video. And I've actually already found a first subject here, which is on these daisies, I've got a tiny little crab spider. I think that this will be a great subject for some natural light macro shooting. I've taken off the lens hood to get a little bit closer, and I'm shooting at the maximum magnification of this lens, which is 1.4:1. So beautiful. Amazing. The sun has come out, and this is the perfect opportunity to show a cool bit of kit that I have with me today. And I've got a grasshopper here, which will hopefully stay still for at least a minute or two. And if I take a short video clip with just the plain sunlight, you can see that this is quite harsh with the shadows and everything, and I don't think that that is the nicest lighting. So instead, I have this with me, which is basically a studio photography umbrella. And if I place it something like this, you can't see anything at all, but if I take another short video clip, you can see that this has really, really nice soft lighting. This kind of emulates the effect that cloud cover would have, but I think personally that that looks really, really good. This is kind of cool. Just hanging from the wire of this metal fence here, there are actually a few, but this one here is in the best position, a few butterfly chrysalis of some sort. Now, I have no idea how to identify these, but I will have a look if I can figure out what species it is. And they do look very cool, so I think that I will try and find some kind of interesting detail here to photograph. One cool thing about this lens is that I can actually go to 1.4x magnification, so a little bit more than 1:1 macro. This is nice to get just a little bit more magnification, and as far as I know, is the highest magnification lens for Sony that has autofocus. But along with this, if you want even more magnification than that, you can combine it with the 1.4x or 2x teleconverters from Sony to get even closer. And in this case, I'm going to use this magnification to get not just a photo of the entire chrysalis here, but to pick out a cool detail. And in this case, there's one spot here that in the right light almost looks golden, and I think that that would be a cool thing to photograph. you can probably just about see it, but going all the way along here, there is a highway of ants, just a single continuous stream of ants going in both directions. And this is always a really cool thing to come across, and I would like to use this as a chance to try out the video capabilities of this setup a little bit more, since I think that ants are among the coolest things there are for macro video. So yeah, I'm just gonna try and get a little sequence of these. Got a skipper here, a really beautiful little orange butterfly, and it's staying remarkably calm, so I'm having fun getting some photos of this. So I'm back in the studio, and after seeing a couple of the photos from that day and photographing a little bit more, I'm really happy with the results from this setup here. The 100mm macro lens is really nice and sharp, and together with the 33 megapixel sensor of the A7V, get some really nice detailed images. And as well as this, the setup is great for video as well. The stabilization and autofocus both work quite well even at close-up distances, which makes this a very solid setup for handheld macro video. As I mentioned, I took this setup out again a few days later, and I would like to show a couple of photos from that excursion as well. Starting with one which is very much not my usual style, but it's a very cool plant which is called an adder's tongue, and this is actually a type of fern, which I would really not have guessed from looking at it. I also tried putting my flash and diffuser on this setup, and I got some photos like that I'm really happy with as well. For example, these focus stacks one of the head of a horsetail plant, which I think is a really interesting looking structure, and these two of a horned treehopper, which is a species that I haven't really photographed very often. Another really cool thing to photograph was actually this, which is the adult of an antlion. Turns out that the little insects that are quite well known that create this funnel to trap ants and other insects in the sand are actually just the larval form, and when they metamorphosize, they turn into this really cool looking insect that's kind of partway between a dragonfly and a lacewing or something like that. And I've never photographed one of these, so that was really cool, and I got a portrait as well, which I'm really happy with. The main target of that day was actually butterflies and dragonflies though, and I did manage to photograph a couple of those. First of all was this black-veined white, which I got a sort of reasonably close-up shot of the wing, which I think turned out okay. And this is actually just a single shot of a 4-spotted skimmer dragonfly, and I decided to go with this sort of darker mood with the backlighting for this shot, which a bit different than I usually do, but I quite like the result here as well. The species that we saw by far the most of that day though were heath fritillary butterflies, and I got a few different images of these. This is just a simple natural light focus deck to show the entire butterfly, and there was another individual that was quite active, but I was still able to get a few single shot portraits, which I think both turned out quite nice. There's one feature on the A7V that I was quite curious to try out, which is pre-capture, where basically when you half press the shutter, it records a rolling buffer so that whenever you take an image, it saves up to a second of photos before the photo was taken, which can be really cool, and I've seen this used a lot for action, for example with bird photography, but I'm not sure I've seen any insect photos using this technique, and while I tried it a few times, I wasn't really able to get any really good results. The only decent little series I got is this one here of a heath fritillary taking off while a bunch of them are actually on the same flower. Now, the individual in the first image I showed was really quite still, so I managed to get a detail shot of the wing, which I really like, with the black background kind of highlighting the almost mosaic-like pattern of the butterfly's wing scales. And of course, with one sitting that still at the head of a plantain plant, I obviously had to get a portrait as well. And I really like how this one turned out, with the blue sky creating a really nice background. So yeah, I'm really happy with all of the photos I was able to get with the A7V and the 100mm macro lens, and I would like to thank Sony again for sending this camera setup over and for sponsoring this video. I really appreciate the support. And otherwise, I would like to thank all of you for following along, for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.